for having arrived here late. All of us are victims of Delhi's traffic problems. So I was also one. Well, rethinking pluralism, I thought that when my generation was born post-independence, this was a settled matter. And there was no need to rethink about pluralism. Because my own instance, I was born in the city of today it's called city of Chennai. It was Madras. Born to a Telugu, upper caste, Telugu speaking family. When the states divided, reorganized, my family moved to Andhra Pradesh. So I grew up studying in Hyderabad. Hyderabad then was a city full of Islamic culture and tradition, which was then the part of the Nizam's rule. So my talim in that sense was part of that. Then I moved to Delhi for higher education, got elected to the parliament from Calcutta, and who am I? Married to a half Muslim Islamic Sufi and a Rajputian Pandit who settled for 8 centuries in Karnataka. What would my son be called? What is his identity? There is only one identity, and that is Indian. And that is our pluralism, and that is what we all belong to. And that is something which is our, I would say, this is our treasure. We did 72 years ago what European Union is still grappling today, for various many diversities to come together under one administrative unit. But this, unfortunately, is not something that is happening only of late, because of which we need to talk again. What Hamid Saab said, and whenever he says many things, very little to say anything more after him, but it is not tolerance, but it's acceptance of this diversity. And this is a running battle that has happened in India since the days of our freedom struggle. And I think it's necessary for us to recount this history now to understand the gravity of the battles we are engaging in today. This is something that was born as a battle of 3 visions that emerged during the decade of 1920s. You had the mainstream vision of the leadership of the freedom movement, which recognized the fact that India, with its plurality, can be kept united only on the basis of granting equality to all its diversities, language, religious, culture, traditions, etc. And therefore the secular democratic republic can only be the future of this subcontinent called India. As opposed to this was the left vision that I represent today, which said secular democratic foundations cannot be the end of the story. The political independence that is won by India, when it's won, will have to be converted into the economic independence of its people. Otherwise, the foundations of the secular democracy itself will continue to weaken. That unfortunately happened post-independence, which is what is the result we are seeing today. As opposed to these 2 visions, was a third, which had a twin expression. One was the vision, both were talking of the identity of India should be based on the religious affiliation of its people. One spoke of the Islamic State, the other spoke of the Hindu Rashtra, or the RSS idea of the Hindu Rashtra. So this battle, unfortunately, at the time of independence, led to the unfortunate partition. And that happened, but the battle did not end after independence. The battle continued, and that is what we are seeing today unfold in a more vicious manner. And that is the effort to convert the secular democratic republic into the RSS vision of what they call the Hindu Rashtra or the Hindutva Rashtra. That is the battle. Now, how did this entire concept of India as we know of it arise? And that is what some argue and encapsulate it in the term called idea of India. This idea is not an abstract idea. It's not an idea which is in the realm of metaphysics. This is the reality of this idea of India, and that reality is, and I would say India was one of the foremost countries in the process of decolonization that broke from the Western concept of a nation and a nation state, which was based on the Westphalian treaties, which talked of the majoritarian state, the majority in the state and nationalism being identified with the majority, which was the Westphalian pattern, which is in fact, today many of the international laws still continue to be on the basis of those definitions of nationalism, nationality and sovereignty. Now India went beyond that, of saying it's not a question of a majority and minority, it's a question of inclusion. That it is an inclusive state, which is not only integration of people with different religions, cultures, but all aspects of your diversity. And that inclusiveness, which gave rise not to Indian nationalism in that sense, but into a spirit of Indian nationhood. In India, we all have multiple identities. When I go abroad, I'm an Indian. In Delhi, I'm a Telugu speaking, I belong to Andhra. In Andhra, when I go, I belong to the coastal part of Andhra. In coastal part of Andhra, when I go, I have my caste, I have my other identities, that I have my specificity there. So it is the inclusiveness of all these identities which is what I will define as pluralism in India. And that is coming under a severe assault today. That is to throw back the idea of India to the Westphalian model of a majority and a minority. To find an enemy within. We can have innumerable examples of what happened in history, whether it's the Jews or whether it's the Irish or whether it is anybody else, I mean, from any other part of the world, or the Palestinians today, to create that enemy within in order to ensure the establishment of a monolithic, homogenized society. That is impossible in a country like India. And the more these efforts are there, the more are the dangers of imploding. And that is why today we have reached one such inflection point of what is happening in the Kashmir Valley today. And we really don't know what is actually happening there. I mean, I'm planning to go there tomorrow. Let me see if they'll allow me to. Is it or not? Or what will happen tomorrow morning? I'll just make the effort to try and reach out to some of the people to see what is happening and meet my own party people. But I don't know what is in store for tomorrow. But it will have to be, it's an issue that now demands a greater urgency. If India as we know of it today has to be saved, we'll have to not merely rethink, but react, not reaction, but we should act in defense of pluralism. And that is what is the requirement today, I think, and that is why this is a challenge which for every Indian, irrespective of whatever differences we may hold, is imperative if we have to remain Indian. And if we have to remain Indian, this pluralism, what else is Kashmiriyat except part of this pluralism? When Atal Bihari Vajpayee talked of solving the Kashmir problem on the basis of Kashmiriyat, Insaniyat and Jamhuriyat, today Jamhuriyat has gone to the winds in the manner in which this happened, whatever has happened. Insaniyat is the last thing that is being adhered to. And Kashmiriyat, some people have gone to the extent of saying, today हमने आज Kashmiriyat को दफना दिया. Now this is something, we cannot have pluralism if this sort of a thing continues. This is something we all have to fight. And there, I know I'm in the Islamic center, but there is a wisdom that flows down from the biblical tradition. For the evil to succeed, the good only has to be silent. So we have to now decide, silence is not going to help us, restore pluralism in our country. And that will have to be fought for, and it is actually an existential crisis for the idea of India. And that is a battle I think every one of us needs to, in our own way, engage in. I think that is the requirement today.